everyone, welcome back. I'm here with a new workout and I went and designed it. I thought this looks great and I brought out the kettlebells and everything, getting everything ready, and I tried just to run through a couple of the exercises to warm up. And the first exercise is a double kettlebell sumo deadlift, and unfortunately I'm unable to do that today because of I have an adductor pain at the minute. So what I'm going to do instead is a one-handed deadlift with one kettlebell, and that's going to be, the kettlebell's going to be in the middle, and it's done with a slight rotation. So what I'm doing is leaning more onto the side that's sort of not sore, so I'm not sort of annoying the other side by going ahead and doing it anyway. But if that exercise is kind of a bit meh or boring or too sort of weird for you, then you can do the sumo deadlift or the suitcase deadlift. But if you're doing either of these exercises that have sort of, I've put double kettlebell, any of the deadlifts anyway, it's absolutely fine to use two kettlebells that are not the same weight. It honestly doesn't make any difference. So you can swap them over so that you're sort of getting equal sort of uneven loading per set, so it's more balanced that way. Not that it makes any difference, especially for a one-off exercise or one-off workout. So you're doing that particular deadlift as a traditional sets and reps. So you're doing 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps. Then after that you're moving on to the first superset, first of 2. This one has 2 exercises, which is the hand release push-up and the curtsy drop lunge. The hand release push-up, well, you can do them from your knees if you're not strong enough to do the plank push-up, but basically you're going down in the push-up, controlled. You're going to roll the hands back, lifting them slightly off, you're releasing them off the ground, and then pressing back up again without arching back, keeping everything nice and sort of braced in the middle. If you're kind of in between in your push-ups, then you probably won't get very much from it by doing it from your knees, so just do normal push-ups instead. What else? Oh yes, so the next exercise is a curtsy drop lunge, and that's where you're obviously curtsying to the side. So I will only do one side because, again, my right side is not sort of working for me today. So you can do that just body weight, or you can hold a kettlebell in the goblet hold position, or a dumbbell, and that's really that. Then the second superset is made up of 3 exercises. So you have the kettlebell thruster, you're doing right and left side, and then you're doing 2-handed kettlebell swing, and the plank with shoulder tap. So the thruster, that's when you have your kettlebell or dumbbell in a rack position, shoulder nice and tight into a socket, elbow into the side, wrist nice and straight if you're, well, either kettlebell or dumbbell, keep it nice and straight and tight. So when you're squatting down, the elbow is kind of, well, if you're going into the squat position, sometimes it will sort of go out, but you're trying to keep things, rather than being way out here where you're putting more disadvantaged position on the shoulder and stuff like that. You're just going to make the pressing part a lot more difficult. Pressing up overhead using the legs to drive the kettlebell up, then you're going to lower it and then go into your squat again, so you're not sort of all collapsing at the same time. Bring it nice and controlled back in so that it's in by your side, nice and stable, and then you can carry on and really explode out of the bottom of the squat, extending the hips nice and tight in the core so you're not extending in order to get the bell up. And then sort of the kettle arm is waving everywhere and stuff, so keep things nice and steady, nice steady tempo, and use an appropriate weight for both your skill and strength level, but also paying attention throughout the sets and reps that your fatigue isn't causing issues. So just keep an eye on that. If you need to downgrade the weight, just go ahead and do that. 2-handed kettlebell swing, straightforward enough. And then the plank with shoulder tap. That's where your feet are set slightly wider, hands are at a narrower position, and then all you're doing in the plank position, keeping a nice steady core, is to reach up, tap, 1, 2, down, up, tap your shoulder, 1, 2, down. And if you want to make it a little more challenging, you can hold it for longer, or you can set the feet a little bit more narrow, so that you're providing less of a stable base. You're having to work your core a little bit more. Pay attention to fatigue, because again, especially when you're starting to get that shakiness, then probably just, it doesn't matter if you don't do as many as the sets go on. The main thing is sort of the effort level and the exertion that you're putting in. And as you imagine, as you go through the sets and reps, you're going to get sort of more fatigued as you go on. So just, again, paying attention. That's all really it is. What I would say is, I usually say rest is needed, but just not too long, that you have to warm up again. So somewhere between 30 seconds and 60 seconds between exercises on the supersets is fine. You might need to rest a little bit longer if you're using a heavier weight, and that's perfectly fine. You can also adjust the reps to be a bit lower for the heavier weights. Lots of leeway, lots of flexibility, but a nice framework to work with. I love these sorts of designs where you have maybe one traditional set and then you have supersets. Supersets are fun, sort of more fast paced. You feel like you're a little more intensity involved depending on the weights that you have available. So enough talk from me. Hopefully you can hear me with the background noise. If not, I'm going to do the workout now, so it doesn't matter. And I'll see you briefly at the end. The one-arm deadlift, kettlebell between your legs, feet around shoulder width apart, or a little wider than hip width. And I'm wanting the weight to be more on this side, so I'm actually going to twist my torso slightly as my hips go back, so I can reach down to the kettlebell. If I go on this side, I'm putting more stretch. This hip is being loaded more, so I want this hip to be loaded more. You can also keep the stance a little more staggered, so that this foot is back, and that means I'm going to use this side more, and that's what I want. So as I'm going back, keeping my spine neutral, chest is up a little bit, and then I'm going to just drive up, pushing my glutes forward and pushing the floor away, and then reversing away back down. Like so. If you want to try that deadlift and you want to do both sides, then all you do is swap around. You can either swap on the same set, but you can swap in the next set as well. So one more set of these, and then I'll move on to the first superset. Forgotten what a nice one is. Curtsy drop lunge. It's been a while since I did these, so I'm only going to do body weight. And I'm only going to use one side. When you're doing it, you're going to do all your reps on one side, and then all your reps on the other, or you can do alternating. and you have to double the reps so that it's a total amount. Okay, so, caterpillar. There's like millions of caterpillars, and normally I'm not scared of them. So many. Okay, so back to the push-up. So, plank position, glutes and abs engaged, slowly controlled down. The sternum is on the floor, roll back, release, brace everything again, push up. Making sure on the way back up you're not doing this, keeping your abs short at the front, like this. 7, 8. Curtsy lunge. So, want to keep your hips straight, foot facing forward on the working side. You're going to sweep the foot back as you're squatting down, putting your weight into this hip, driving up with both the hip and the quad, and finishing where you started. You kind of want to bring the hips back around to face the front. Hands on the hips, or if you're holding a bell, keep the elbows in to the side, keep you more stable, like this. Squeeze the glutes. 3, 4, 5, chest up. 6. If you really want and you have all the flexibility in the world, you can bring your foot a little bit wider. If you don't, you can just bring it to about here. You might not even have the mobility to get down so your knee is on the floor. So just do a partial and back up. Back up, that's fine. I don't know how many I've done. That's this. On to the next superset. This is the kettlebell thruster, two-handed kettlebell swing, and the shoulder tap plank. Again, I'm going to run through it twice so that you can see what it is I'm doing. So, on the thruster, again because of my adductor, I'm going to just do the right-sided one, as I find, or yeah, I think it's the right side, because then I seem to rotate a little bit more, putting more weight onto one side than the other. When I go the other way, it doesn't work out so nicely, but we want to do both sides. Rack the kettlebell, nice straight wrist, elbow into the side, nice secure shoulder, and then you're going to squat down, drive up, and push the kettlebell overhead, lower under control, back to the starting position. Squatting down, driving up, and lowering. Notice how I'm completely locked out as the kettlebell is going overhead. squat down, thrust up. I don't know how many that is. Okay, two-handed swing. I'll use 20. Heels are not the best idea for kettlebell swing. Shoulder tap plank. Hands narrow, feet wider. Core engaged. 1, 2. Don't forget to breathe. Try not to stick your butt way up in the air. Keep your chest over your hands. And rest. So back to the thruster. Nice and tight, wrist straight, squatting down, driving up, my arms lower way out the side, locked out, straight elbow at the top, lowering under control, back to your squat, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's enough for me. So reps are set at around 8 for that one, each side. Two-handed swing, go with 14 this time. So, just to demonstrate kettlebell swing, I'm going to go into a deadlift position at the start, the kettlebell out in front. You're going to aim to swing the kettlebell up and back so your hamstrings stretch, keeping your back straight so you're not rounding forward. You're loading the hips and the hamstrings, arms still attached, basically touching your torso. Hips are going to snap and let the arms come up, and you're going to let it fall down or pull it down depending on what style you're doing. Pull it down, wait for the contact to push you back into the hinge, and then snap forward again. Glutes, let the hips snap. So, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like that. And that last rep, just settle the kettlebell down, land it as an airplane, bending your knees a little bit more, letting the kettlebell come down at an angle onto the ground. That's can be quite difficult to do. Okay, final exercise, shoulder tap plank, my face forward. Okay, so feet wider, hands more narrow. Rest there, and we would just do that one more time if you have the energy, and that's it. Okay everyone, that's it for today. There's quite a few modifications there for me. You know, you can adapt workouts on the day if you need to, as I said the last time. This is a really nice workout if you're going into the gym and maybe you're kind of in the mood for maybe heavy exercise, and then you want to do something a little bit lighter, a little bit faster paced, with mixture of stuff, make it a full body workout. This is a great one for that because you have the traditional sets and reps on the sumo deadlift at the start, although I did a one-arm deadlift, which you can also do. But you can also afford to go a little bit heavier. You can use a barbell there, you have more chance for recovery, and then you can go on to your supersets, a little more conditioning stuff with kettlebells as well. It's just, basically it's one of those really quick workouts that you can go and do maybe half an hour at the most in the gym. So like the video, share it, and also come to my blog, my TV, and subscribe to my email, because although I haven't exactly been very active on it, I intend to at least send a little bit more. At least you know that you won't be inundated with emails, and you might even forget that you even signed up in the first place, but I intend to at least remind you every so often that I do actually write stuff. So that's really it for today. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon.